Hi crafters, welcome to my channel. Tonight we are going to have a look at how to make vinyl stickers using the offset feature of Cricut. The first thing you need to do obviously is open up your design space and a new project. I'm just going to make a sticker for actually my drink bottle. So the first thing you need to do is pick out your text, type what you're going to write. Then you need to go through and find the font you like. I just use my system font. I've also got some bookmarked, like my bookmark ones, my favourite ones. This one's quite a nice one, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted. I wanted something a little bit fancier. So I'm going through and going to have a look at a few ones. A lot of these were downloaded from DaFont. So that's a free website. If you want to get some nice different fonts, it's really easy to use. I'll do a video on how to do that soon. And you just download them to your computer. What you need to do is once you've done that, you shut your design space down, open it up, and it'll be there in that systems font folder. So all of them will just pop into there. They don't always show the image of the font correctly in there. I've found that's a bit glitchy. So you can I just quite often click on it and see if it's what I want it to look like. This is the one I went with. You'll see that the R and the S is a little bit close. So I've moved them apart. I ungrouped and just eventually got to move them apart so that it didn't overlap there in that little spot. And I regrouped them. So when I go to cut them, they'll all be, oh, no, okay, it was a bit too close to the E. So they'll all be joined together. They won't be individual letters. So I regroup them. Then I'm actually going to make it a little bit wider because the font's quite thin. So I just make it really, then you can see the blue line. If I hit apply, then it would make it that wide. So I only want it just a tiny bit bigger. So you can see there, it's just made it that little bit bigger. I'll delete the original one or hide the original one by pressing the I over there. And now that's my offset. So I want to then create, it'll end up being white background around it. So I make that quite big. And once you hit apply, it will make it there. I've changed the colours so you can see the colours a bit easier. And now when I go to, so my background will be white, but it's really hard to see white on here. So I make it like a grey colour just so I know that it's a white colour when I go to make it. I want to resize it because when I realised how big my drink bottle was, it's going to be way too big. So I've grouped them together so it'll all shrink together at the same size. So I'm not going to have a massive offset and a smaller wording. So just selecting my mats. So this will be my white vinyl. And just checking it's all okay. The blue is actually going to be a pearl vinyl. I'll add the link to that in a second. I'm just resizing a little bit there. I was having a look at my white and what was cut last so I can just stick the vinyl on there rather than try and mess around cutting it off and making it level because I have a scrap folder where my bits and pieces go into. So quite often when I'm going to cut something, I will check that first. The blue is a new roll, so I didn't need to check that. I know that that's just going to have a straight edge. I always tend to go a little bit heavier with my vinyl cutting. I always worry that it's not going to cut through. So I'll pop this in. We duck over to my Cricut. And here's my white. Just laying that out. You can see why I moved my wording around because I had that little tail there. So we'll just cut that. It's not too long, this one. Oh, I'm glad I've got a new stand for my Cricut, so my recording, so we can see it a bit better. This one didn't work the best, so just quickly cut that white, and then we'll pop the opal on there. It's such a nice colour. It came out all bubbly, so you can see that I'm gently pushing out the bubbles, so when it cuts, it'll cut nice and flat. If you leave those bubbles in there, it can often pop off and it makes a bit of a mess. So I've only just cut it, like rub them out where I'm going to be cutting. I didn't do the whole lot. That one actually came in a roll, so I'm not sure why it bubbled so badly. Normally, if they come flat and then you roll them, I get those bubbles. But that one actually came rolled, so I'm not sure exactly why it's bubbled so badly. So you can see there that it's cut through. I always cut my vinyl after I've cut it, like on the Cricut, because I've quite often found when I try to do it the other way, I would end up with ends popping off and stuff. Like it wouldn't quite be the right size. Like I'd cut bits off and have to recut it. So I now try and put my whole roll down and then trim after I've cut it on the Cricut, just to save having to recut it 2 or 3 times. This didn't weed quite as nicely as I would have liked, but it looks so beautiful. I've popped the white underneath my cutting mat because it was very curly and it kept trying to curl up on me. So I thought if I just sit it under there, it'll flatten it just that little bit. And you can see my drink bottle there in the background, so that colour is going to look amazing. I put my transfer tape over the top because this one will go on top of the white, and just trim it down. Peel it off. Now I just weed around my white offset one. It's actually lifted pretty easy, so you can see where it'll go. I'm just trying to get it to go flat. I use a bit of parchment paper or baking paper in Australia. It's quite hard to find parchment paper, and I use that to line up. So just that little tiny edge there isn't stuck, and then I peel the parchment paper up as I go. Give it a nice rub to get the two to stick together. On my drink bottle, I'm spraying it with the isopropyl alcohol again just to clean off fingerprints, and then stuck my finger on it. The actual backing paper was cut into the white paper, so I was having a bit of trouble getting it started. There we go. Lay it down, and then I just rub it on. I normally try and start towards the middle and rub it on. The white was a little bit stretchy on this one, so it did bubble a little bit underneath. But it was just so I could have my name on my drink bottle and not get it lost.